I'm really scatterbrained today, but I'm really apparently gonna still try this. Yay! And let's start by saying I'm I can let things go. I know how to let things go. And when I asked other people to let things go, I know that I should include myself in the letting of the go. Okay? Yay! Also, what's the second step? Starts with, it rhymes with understand. Good job, guys. You guys are my favorite. And what's the third step? Then we share things, right? Okay. So are you guys noticing this trend that's going on lately? Or like, and it's like, I would never like, you gotta let kids be kids too. But when you're like a full grown adult, especially like, let's say you're like 60 or like near retirement age, there's going to be a little bit of like a sense of urgency for you to understand that you're skipping a step and skipping a very important step that's probably like not meant to be skipped, okay? So don't just let things go selectively and understand selectively and share selectively, but let go of everything that you need to let go of. That's first. Remember, that was the first step. That's before we share. So some of us are sharing things that we still haven't let go, and that there's no reason for them to continue. As a matter of fact, there's several reasons for them not to continue. And so we're just going against our own will now, right? We're contradicting ourselves. That's a problem. That's a problem when we're full grown adults and still doing this shit, okay? I'm not going to say anything about children because you remember, guys, when we were kids and like we'd just like feel a way about everything. Like we love to feel. Oh my God, we love to feel everything. We feel things, and we're all just like giggity about it too. Like we're not smart enough to know like, oh, this is a sad topic. Like this is bad. Like we're like, oh my God, the person died. That's so funny. Like it's not, but it's okay. Like they're little. They're so cute and they're little, so it's okay. Like we let them say those things. It's not okay to say though, right? And so here's my point. Um, it's okay to feel. It's also okay to understand that we don't have time to feel ways all the time, right? Sometimes situations call for us to take very explicit action, right? And so you're probably gonna find me often asking you to feel no ways and just to be aware of something and to act accordingly for that moment, because these things are required for us to be able to understand and to share with people, because we don't want to share before we understand, right? We don't want to like spread our ignorance. So please be very careful of that, like going forward. I'm including myself in this. I make plenty of mistakes all the time. Um, but here's what I don't share them. I don't go around advising people to make the same mistakes as me. I just make them myself. And then once I correct them and I'm like real confident about something, that's when I like feel confident enough to share it with other people so that they can share in the glory of it, right? Because all glory ends up being what? To God, anyways. So it already belongs to everybody. So it's something to be taken, it's something to be earned, it's something that's like waiting for us. It's not like nobody should be blocking it. Anyway, let me not say too much. What's happened often, there's slander, libel, harassment, unsolicited things that happen. These things happen, they will always happen, and they always have happened, and it's fine. I'm saying, as far as the things that we can change, that's where we need to take the responsibility to let things go and then understand them and then share what we understand, okay? I'm just going to keep reiterating those three because they go in that order. It's perfect. Like, and it goes in a circle, okay? And then we let things go again, and then we understand again, and some more, and then we share some more. And then that's how information travels. It works that way in a circle. So some things people just expect us to know before speaking to them, because as an example, when we go to school and we have friends, and then we have friends of friends, and then we have like other more distant friends, like everybody kind of like knows a little bit about each other, right? And so we just expect people to know certain things. Like people know my name, right? They don't just come up to me and they're like, hey, I mean, yeah, maybe you do have a couple like, what's your name? But most people are just going to be like, they know it, right? And so that creates this expectation. And so it's really like, I don't even know how to explain it, but the point that I'm making here is that it just like, I guess, shocking for lack of a better word. It's a little like astonishing to see people approach other people and like not even know what they're talking about, or approach people with something that's like, it's not even for them. They're just like, you completely missed the mark, dude. That person's over there. But yet they're so confident, right? There's like, this is for you. I want you to accept it. And sometimes you just gotta be like, okay, fine. It's for me. I accept it. Because we can't argue with fools like all the time. It's exhausting. And it's depleting our energy. So a lot of us that are like in this energy of like learning constantly and letting go and thoughtfully sharing things, we have that habit of like just agreeing with people, and so we know that about each other too. Like when I'm like, oh, look, this friend over here, he's kind of narky, but he's kind of smart. So I already know, like, I don't ever have to ask him that, or I don't have to explain it to him, or he doesn't have to ask. It's like, wow, it's like we read each other's mind or something. But we just both intuitively know, before even coming to each other with some dumb shit, that oftentimes we're just going to agree with people about the dumb shit they say about each other, right? And it's like, what that's just the best thing at the time to do. There's no like evil intention behind it. We're not trying to manipulate people. People are well, quite frankly, they're trying to manipulate themselves, and all we're doing is allowing them to do whatever they want, right? So it's okay. Like, don't be that person that's like gonna hang on to a fucking word and like bring it into like 10 years later into some shit, because there's a difference between an action that you took, an emotion that you actually had this emotion, somebody actually made you feel a type of way, right? And a word is just a word. If there's no thought, or like, people are just saying it like thoughtlessly, who cares? Like eventually they'll feel stupid for it. So like, think about like the life of that word. It's like the parable of the sower again. It has no root. It's fine. Let it grow. Let it grow and die quickly. Like that's what happens. This isn't my choice. This is the technology of the universe in action. Okay. Anyway, I hope I'm explaining that right, guys. So that's the example, and another great example. Wow, I should have started with this one. And so there's a separation among all of us, right? And it's most of us see it as like right and wrong. I think I've said this before in one of the Revelation videos, but I want to go deeper because there's more than two kinds of people. The simplest way, obviously, is to look at everyone as like fitting into these two categories, the right or the wrong. And that's fine. It still applies today. But it can be simplified into 4 categories if you want to look into it deeper. So we came from angels and we came from mortals. Mortals were originally called Adam, apparently, according to the Bible, according to several Bibles, I should say. And so God in the Hebrew Bible named these mortals mankind. And in their language, in the Hebrew language, it's Adam, Adam, which has a meaning which I can't even specifically remember right now, but it's probably like going right over my head because it's like really simple. But anyways, so there's angels, which are separate from mortals, right? That were fallen. They fell from the gates of heaven or whatever. This is the language that these Bible verses use. And again, there's several sources. There's the Midrash, there's ancient manuscripts, there's the Christian Bible. Like I don't have the notes right in front of me, but there will be a whole separate video on this because I have extensive notes on it. Okay. Anyways, so the 4 categories would be composed of angels and mortals. Angels that use their power for good, and angels that use their power for bad. mortals that use their power for good and mortals that use their power for bad. These are like, no matter how many species, we had like, let's say we had like 25 different species that came of these angels and mortals, they all would fit into these 4 categories, right? Essentially, so that moving forward we could see the ultimate plan that God has for them. So I'm a sociologist by nature, but an art therapist by trade. And so that's why I study these things so extensively, because oftentimes they're directly correlated with our nature as humans, as like, right? Because how do I say this? It was even written in these sources that the fallen angels that were on the earth in Genesis 6, as it says in Genesis 6, they were Nephilim, but like after Nephilim, they were like different names. So, because they kept evolving, right? So they had different sociological norms. It specifies that. And obviously, they were physically different. So these angels were like gigantic compared to mortals. And that's why we have, like, I imagine these so-called Greek myths where like there were like different types of people. The Bible uses a certain language almost like on purpose, almost like they were like, okay, like adhering to like somebody's instruction, like not to speak of certain things or whatever, because maybe it was like taboo back then, and maybe it was like, it incited people to like want to fight. I don't know, but my point is these clearly these things are clearly in the text. In Joshua, I believe it's in Joshua. I can't remember. I want to say 8, chapter 8, that these mortals, they're relatively, I want to say they're the first ones that were mixed, right? Because this is like, from what I've read, this is what it's giving me, because they went into this territory. They went into the territory of the descendants of Enoch, and by they I mean the 12 tribes, or the descendants of the 12 tribes. No, it had to be the 12 tribes, right? Because Joshua. Anyway, the point is the seeds, right? Abraham's seed went and took out the giants somehow. So at first, when they checked out this land, they didn't want to go in. They're like, these people are too powerful, they're too strong. They have huge castles, like they have all this like, not castles, basically like all their buildings are like so strong compared to like what they had over in Israel, and they weren't going to go in. Well, actually, they were fearful to go in, and only I think 1 or 2 of the spies that went to check out the land returned with a good report, saying like, we're gonna do it. Yeah, we're willing to, like, we're gonna fight these people. And Moses was like wanting, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was Moses. He was wanting to go in, so he's like, everyone that doesn't want to give their lives for this mission, they're out. Like, and I believe I don't know if they died like during when they were doing their spying or what, but you guys, I cannot make this shit up. So from all the way from the beginning of Genesis to Joshua, we see this story play out, slowly start to play out. And we're still living with the consequences of it today. So it's relevant, right? It's part of our history. Um, it should be. But if we look at those four categories as like the main ones, it just makes everything so much simpler as far as like separation, right? Because this natural separation, it's already happening physically and in other ways. But why do you think Israel's at war right now? Might that be part of the separation? Why haven't we intervened? Is the fact that we haven't intervened part of the separation too? And maybe people are doing what they can, because I'm not what is the name for those, like, they're not bureaucrats, but they're like agents of like whatever. You know what I say, man. So that could also be another thing that separates us, right? Maybe we're helping them, but without making like it too obvious so that we don't incite World War III. And so all of our choices right now are really important, clearly, because this is a pivotal time. So I just want to, I mean, I know a lot of us know that, but like it's important to focus on it, to take a second. Like, can we meditate on that? Because I feel like we're missing, like, we're so close. Oh my God, we have like everything else that we need to understand, but we're still missing the mark, clearly, because I keep seeing it. Like, every time I see a new video on YouTube, it's like another wow. It's like, what? Why are these people so uninformed? I don't understand. There's so much information on the internet. It's ironic that it would be like seemingly moving backwards now, at this pivotal time, like I keep saying. But it's okay. Remember, like, it's not about feeling a way about it. Don't ever take anything I say as like a reason to feel a way. Okay? Because it's all just informational and it's meant to serve you. What am I missing? So I already said to feel no ways and just to be aware, act accordingly. Yeah, because we always are going to remember how people made us feel. We don't remember their words. We don't remember what they did. We don't remember how they said it. We just remember they made us feel inferior, or they made us feel less than, or they made us feel really ugly, or they made us feel good, or they made us feel inspired, right? So these things are like, wow, that's such a small difference in such a short amount of time, and it could make the biggest difference, right? That's why when God speaks of these things, he speaks in terms of seeds. It's just like seeds. We're planting them all the time. Please be conscious of it, what you're planting.